The twin sons of Garathfor beat down on the cracked desert like molten hammers. Even seasoned travelers avoided the red expanse at midday, when the air shimmered so fiercely it looked like the desert itself was burning. But Staff Sergeant Rowan Hale had no choice. His transport had gone down an hour earlier, shot out of the sky by raiders who mistook the ship for a military cargo hauler. He'd survived the crash with a torn sleeve, one cracked rib, and a canteen barely half full. The nearest outpost was at least 20 kilometers away. In this heat, that might as well have been 100. Rowan trudged forward, boots sinking in the loose dust, visor flickering with warnings about dehydration, heatstroke, and blood oxygen levels. "Yeah, I get it," he muttered. "I'm screwed." But humans didn't stop. Humans always kept moving. That was how they'd earned their reputation in the galaxy: stubborn, terrifyingly resilient, and loyal to a fault. Rowan shaded his eyes, scanning the dunes ahead for any sign of shelter. Instead, he saw movement. A tiny figure collapsed beside a split boulder, scales glinting in the sun, and wings. A dragonkin. A child. Rowan froze. This was hostile territory. The Dragonkin tribes didn't tolerate outsiders, least of all humans. But as he approached cautiously, he heard a small rasping voice. Please, sir, just one sip of water." The boy couldn't have been older than 8. Quartz blue scales, cracked around the edges. His wings were limp. His breaths came thin and ragged. Dragonkin physiology handled heat better than almost any species in the sector. For a child to be in this condition meant he was one step from death. Rowan knelt slowly, keeping his hands visible. "You hurt?" he asked gently. The kid shook his head weakly. "No, just thirsty. Please, one sip. I'll pay. I'll give you my scales, anything." Rowan didn't speak. He unhooked his canteen and placed it into the kid's hands. But he didn't offer one sip. He gave him the whole thing. The boy blinked, confused. "No, sir, not all, you'll die." "Just drink," Rowan said. The dragon kid drank. Desperately. Greedily. Coughing between gulps, water spilling down his scaled chin until the last drop was gone. When he finished, he collapsed forward, breathing easier. Rowan sat beside him, the empty canteen hanging from his fingers. He felt dizzy, but he'd survive. Humans always did. "What's your name, kid?" "Kaereth," he whispered. "Son of Varos, chief of the Emberwing clan." Rowan's blood ran cold. The Emberwings were infamous. Fierce. Territorial. Furious warriors who burned enemies alive. And Rowan had just given water, life, to their chieftain's son. Before he could respond, a deep, rumbling growl echoed across the desert. Rowan turned. And froze. 15 Dragonkin warriors stood on the dunes, armored in obsidian plating, wings spread wide like blades of night. Their eyes glowed molten gold. At the center stood Varos himself. He was massive, easily 3 meters tall, with horns curved like scythes and scales that shimmered like forged steel. When he spoke, his voice vibrated through Rowan's bones. "You." His claws pointed at Rowan. "Human." He bared his fangs. "Step away from my son." Kaereth struggled to stand. "Father, no, he saved them." "Silence." Varos roared, wings flaring. Rowan raised his hand slowly. "Look, I don't want any trouble." You trespassed on sacred land. You dared approach royal blood. You, Varos stopped abruptly. He saw the empty canteen. His eyes widened. Not with anger. With shock. You gave him all of it. Rowan swallowed. Yeah. Kid was dying. The Dragonkin murmured among themselves. Shocked whispers. Impossible. No outsider would. He could perish himself. No human would do such a thing. Varos stepped closer, towering over Rowan like a mountain. Why? He demanded. Rowan looked him dead in the eyes. Because he was a kid, he said softly. And kids deserve to live. Varos stared at him for a long moment. Then longer. The desert wind howled between them. Finally, the dragon chieftain exhaled a low, rumbling breath. In our culture, he said slowly, to give water in the red expanse is the highest act of honor. To give all of it, his voice trembled, is an act of sacred sacrifice, reserved for the closest of kin. Rowan blinked. Well, I didn't know that. That, Varos said, is what makes it pure. The warriors around them bowed their heads. Rowan was utterly confused. Keareth looked up proudly. Father, he saved me. He didn't even hesitate. Varos lowered himself to one knee, never done in front of any human in recorded history. Human Rowan Hale, he said, voice echoing across the dunes. You have saved my son, my heir. His golden eyes softened. For this, I owe you a life debt. Rowan's heart skipped. A Dragonkin life debt was legendary, unbreakable, eternal, binding. A dangerous thing to have. Varos stood and extended a massive clawed hand. Come. You will be honored in our village. Rowan hesitated. Are you sure your people will accept me? Varos grinned. After what you've done, they will worship you. The march to the Emberwing clan. Rowan walked among the warriors, Keareth perched excitedly on his shoulders, chattering non-stop about dragons, desert lore, and how no one would believe a human gave him water. Each step made Rowan dizzier. No water in this heat was brutal, but he pushed on. Varos noticed his pace faltering and without a word offered him a flask the size of Rowan's head. Drink. You earned it. Rowan sipped, and nearly choked. It wasn't water. It tasted like molten cinnamon and fire. Keareth giggled. Dragon water. It heals burns and wounds, but tastes awful. Rowan coughed again. No kidding. But within seconds, the pain in his ribs faded. His dizziness vanished. His scars tingled. The Dragonkin watched him with newfound respect. He holds the fire well. A human surviving dragon water? Impossible. He may truly be blessed. Rowan felt awkward. Guys, I'm really just trying to get back home. Varos chuckled deeply. After today, human, your home is here as well. The truth of the raiders. When they reached the Emberwing village, Rowan was surprised, not by the size or ferocity, but by the tension. Guards rushed to Varos. Chieftain. Raiders attacked the eastern nests, searching for the prince. Rowan's blood chilled. They thought he was still lost in the desert, Varos growled. They wanted ransom. Or worse. Keareth clutched Rowan's shoulder. You saved me twice. If they found me before you. Rowan squeezed his claw gently. Not happening, kid. The raiders returned that night, expecting a weakened tribe. Instead, they found a furious chieftain and a human standing at his side. The battle was short. Rowan fought like a demon. Dragonkin fought like firestorms. The raiders never had a chance. After the final raider fell, Varos turned to Rowan. You fought as if Kaereth were your own blood. Rowan shrugged. He kinda feels like it now. Kaereth beamed. The bond. For 3 days, Rowan stayed among the Emberwings. He learned their customs, their honor, their fierce loyalty. On the final night before he was escorted back to the human outpost, Kaereth hugged him tightly. Will I see you again? The little dragon whispered. Rowan ruffled his head crest. Count on it. Varos approached, placing a heavy claw on Rowan's shoulder. You have a brother here, he said, nodding at Kaereth. And a people who will answer your call, anywhere, anytime. Rowan smiled. Guess humans aren't the only loyal species after all. Varos's eyes gleamed. No, but you are the most surprising. Epilogue. Years later, when the Great War engulfed half the galaxy, the Dragonkin were the first to come to humanity's aid. Their reason was simple. Because one human once gave all his water to a dying child, and changed the bond between their species forever.